Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Tuesday, March 3rd, and it's our second day of our month of codependency. Annette, would you like to start us off today?
I would like to start us out because we ran out of time yesterday. I wanted to bring up one more thing in our introductory remarks before we get started into the meat of the book. Remember last week I mentioned that I agree with about 85% of what Terry Cole teaches. And one of my biggest issues with her teaching, just to get that out of the way, is she writes this book for women. She'll use phrases like sisters and women, and I don't like that. And the reason I don't like that is because it's 50-50. As coaches, we've met just as many high-functioning male codependents as we have female, and I don't even like assigning a gender to this. Why does it have to be a gender? I don't like that. I take issue with that because there are many people that do not identify as women who will be struggling with high-functioning codependency, and then I'm afraid that they'll feel excluded and they'll put this book down. And this is such a helpful book. She did that with Boundary Boss and even in the trainings. I mean, her focus is women. I get that. But when she writes a book, I would prefer that she would open it up to all genders because I think it limits her work. So I wanted to say that from the beginning. If you are not a woman and you are listening to our podcast, all of this will still apply. We are not going to limit this to simply an audience for women because I don't think that that's fair. I think it's exclusionary, and I think then people will miss out on all this wonderful information that she teaches in her book.
That was the complaint on some of the reviews I saw online.
Oh, really? So I'm not the only one? I didn't read the reviews online.
I always take a glance at them. I take them with a grain of salt because everybody has an opinion about everything. And what's also funny is on page 18, or at least page 18 of the version I'm reading out of, it's a myth, she says, that only women are codependent.
Yes, I remember when I read that. So then why is she only addressing this to women?
I didn't understand that myself. So if it's a myth that only women are codependent, then let's write it for everybody. And we're aiming our podcast at everybody, whether you're a man, woman, or anything in between. You can be codependent, and you can be high-functioning codependent. It's not about any body part. It's about how you relate to other people in the world.
And we, as coaches, like I said, I think it's 50-50. If we are working with a male, I don't say, well, you can't be high-functioning codependent because you're not a woman. And because she says right in here, it's a myth. I think that's all that we have to share before we get started. Do you feel pretty complete in that, Ada?
I do feel complete. And that's part of our intention from yesterday. I will be honest about my experience with codependency. We want everybody to have the opportunity to be honest about their experience with codependency. And sometimes when we have these, the wording of something can get in the way of that honesty. Then we can start to say, well, this doesn't apply to me. Oh, it just might. So don't limit yourself in the huge thing. The first step in solving a problem is admitting that you have one. So we want to be able and give ourselves the mental space to be honest. And with that, I think my only housekeeping thing that I had, you had that, I have this, let's not judge ourselves this month. If we start to recognize some of our own behaviors and some of our own thoughts in the pages of this book or what we're listening to on the podcast, recognize it. Keep it as an observation. You are seeing that in yourself, and don't start storytelling about that. People can have this idea, oh no, I'm codependent, and then they start to judge themselves harshly. They think badly about themselves. They think they've screwed up or they're unredeemable or they've messed up so much that, oh, how am I supposed to recover? I've been codependent for the last 45 years. We can always turn the ship around. We could always course correct and change direction. That does start with honesty, and it also starts with honesty without judgment. Please just build the awareness without storytelling something negative about yourself.
Maybe this would be a good time to remind us all of our working definition of compassion.
I think this would be good.
That we're all doing the best we can in the moment with the tools and the awareness, the understanding that we have at the moment. So in the past moments, when you were struggling and you were doing the best that you could, if you find yourself realizing now that you had some high-functioning codependency going on, bring compassion to it. You were doing the best that you could with the tools, the awareness, and the understanding that you had then. But when we know better, we do better, as Maya Angelou will remind us. And also, Terry Cole mentions it in her introduction, and you and I, Ada, will always say, healing is possible, change is possible. When we start understanding where we've been, and we start understanding then a new way of showing up, a way that serves us better, then we can decide to change. We can choose. We can listen. We can notice. We can align. And now we can choose. So we don't want to bring any other story into our experience than that. So let's start with what Terry Cole shares in the introduction to her book. She has a little bulleted list where she asks some questions. See if these resonate with you. She slowly introduces the whole idea of high-functioning codependency. She starts bringing our awareness to what it looks like in our lives. So listen to some of these questions that she wants you to ask yourself. Are you often the person that people come to for advice or when they are in a jam? Do you regularly accommodate others' needs and preferences? Do you ever say yes to avoid an issue when you want to say no? Do you overgive and receive less in return? Are you a professional fixer, always on, always ready to act on behalf of others? Are you so highly capable that it sometimes feels like if you don't handle the travel plans, organize the calendar, divvy up the check at the group dinners, solve your babysitter's family drama, sort out your bestie's existential crisis, that chaos will ensue? And this is what Terry Cole says about that. If any of the above questions resonate, the odds are good that you are one of my over-functioning, over-giving, and overextending sisters, and I will say, and brothers. These are common behaviors of codependency, along with too much doing, feeling, managing, directing, leading, convincing, cajoling, and more. So think about those questions today.
And that will be our intention, to reflect on those questions throughout the day.
I'll share them one more time quickly. Are you often the person that people come to for advice or when they are in a jam? Do you regularly accommodate others' needs and preferences? Do you ever say yes to avoid an issue when you want to say no? Do you overgive and receive less in return? Are you a professional fixer, always on, always ready to act on behalf of others? Are you so highly capable that it sometimes feels like if you don't handle the travel plans, organize the calendar, divvy up the check at group dinners, solve your babysitter's family drama, sort out your bestie's existential crisis, that chaos will ensue?
Thank you so much for joining us today. Our day is better because you are part of our day. See you tomorrow.
See you then.